we are hoping that members will continue to enjoy our sessions, our various programs that we have for them, so that they sensitize themselves and get well prepared for the new curriculum that will be officially introduced in the coming months. If you notice, we just have about 4 months to the introduction of the new curriculum. We are already in June, July. We are in July, and then we'll be entering August, September, October. We are there. And so just about 3 months, we should be rolling out this new curriculum. And then the preparation towards it is what Atag National has officially started. And then we've sensitized members very, very well regarding this new curriculum. And so let me do a few introductions so that I'll hand over officially to the host for the program to begin. We have here on the list, I can see Madame Sewa. Madame Sewa is our national vice president, second vice president. In fact, Madame Sewa is also a teacher in the senior high school in the Ashanti region. Her mobilization towards this program has been excellent. Madame Sewa has been constantly here with us. And then she's been engaging with the regional members in the Ashanti region. And I must say, Madame Sewa, we acknowledge your efforts as a national executive, making sure that this program is always a success. If you look at the Volta region, there's this rep that he's always on me. How am I getting my members to register? How am I getting my members to register? Please, if you want to register as an Atag member, it is so easy. Very, very, very easy for you to register as an Atag member. All you need to do is to go to our website. Just type www.artteachersassociationofghana.com. Just type that, or you can just type Art Teachers Association of Ghana. It will lead you to the website. And then you have an option there. There are a lot of options there for you. You can even make payment of your dues. I know some Atag members who keep asking, so how do you get funding to run some of these programs, inviting all these professors, these experts on board? How do you do this? How are you able to constantly engage all of us and then sensitize us regarding this curriculum? It is not by magic, and it is not by any kind of forces. But then our national president, out of his own ingenuity and then mobilization skills, has been doing a lot with minimal. Do I even have to say minimal? Atag members, we don't pay dues, but then we enjoy all these programs free of charge. The last time we were engaging on problem-based learning, I indicated that I attempted joining a workshop in Holland, and just to register as an observer, as a listener, I had to pay $120 just as a listener. That tells you how professional development is prioritized across the globe. And so this program is one of a kind that as members, we have to enjoy, and then make sure that we also play our role as members of the association. And so you just have to register on the portal. You can register as a member, and then you make the payments in line with that. And let me also indicate that if you're a member here and you've made payments and you've not received your certificate yet, you can draw my attention, and then I will just ensure that your certificate is given to you. So far, we've received some members who are requesting for it, and then we've served them as such. And so we're hoping that if you have a request in that line, you can also draw attention, and then we'll get it to you. Let me acknowledge the presence of our national organizer. Our national organizer is Dr. Smaila Isa, popularly known as Olele. Dr. Isa is joining us from the Western North, far away in a distance. And so you realize that there are a lot of people joining us across the globe. And then even here in Ghana as well, we have a lot of people joining in the session. Headmasters of schools, we have heads of training colleges, we have lecturers of our various universities, we have teachers across the country joining in the session. We appreciate your presence here, and then we always want to engage you to make sure that you understand the dictates of the curriculum so that you can better appreciate it and then implement it when it is finally rolled out in October 2024. And so I can see Mr. Kwame Opoku-Bonsu, our panelist who has constantly been here with us, joining us in the session already. Mr. Kwame Bonsu, you are welcome. And then we appreciate your presence here week in, week out. It's not easy. It's not easy with your shadow joining us all the time and then giving us insight into this very curriculum. We appreciate your presence here and then we acknowledge it. We're hoping to be joined by Professor Eric Francis Shen as well, and then Dr. Jete Nyakun. Dr. Jete Nyakun, we're hoping that you will session now. It's 7:17 on the dot, and I'm very happy and excited to welcome you all to the Atag webinar series today. Today, basically, we're going to look at the questions that kept coming in during the session, the 5 sessions that we had, the questions that were coming. And so we have assembled the panelists here, and then they are going to respond to it. So we'll move straight away into the very first question that we had. The very first question that we sampled from the list of questions or the host of questions. And so our panelists, if you are ready, I am good to go. Mr. Kwame Opokubonsu, say, I will crave your indulgence to unmute yourself so that you can respond. Professor Oswini, I would also expect that you unmute yourself as well so that you will be responding to some of the questions that are here. So now the first question is from David Logo Kwashi, whether all the art disciplines involved in the new curriculum, he wants to know whether all the art disciplines are involved in the new curriculum. And so the current art disciplines that we have, he would want to find out whether the basketry, the ceramics, the sculpture, the textiles, the graphic design, all these disciplines are involved in the new curriculum. That is the very first question. So we take it question after question. We have about 14 to 15 questions sampled for the meantime. And so we take it question by question and then we proceed to the other aspect of it. So we give audience an opportunity to ask questions also. So Mr. Kwame Opokubonsu, if you can hear me, say kindly respond to this one for us.
Good evening, colleagues.
Good evening, sir. We
Hello.
can hear you.
Good evening, we can hear you.
Yes.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Evening.
As I did my my presentation the first time, we emphasized the fact that the art in general can be, especially visual art, can be broken down into 2 separate forms, and they are either 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional. So, if you take basketry, if you take painting, if you take graphic design, if you take all these practical areas, how should I call it, the practices within the visual art, they are either 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional. So they are all captured in it. And where appropriate, we've actually outlined them in the curriculum so that people get to know that, look, when we talk about 3 dimensions, we are talking about A, B, C, D. When we talk about 2-dimensional, we are talking about A, B, C, D. So almost every aspect of visual art is captured in the thing, including those that we don't know yet, because the art is still emerging. And one day, one of our students will come up with something that we may not understand. And we have made allowances for some of those things that will come as we go along. So they are all captured within it. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. And so that question is very well clarified. And so we know that now the courses that we had has been well captured. And so the other panels are also here with us. We have Professor Eric Francis Shen joining us. Prof, we are so grateful for your presence here once again. We appreciate your presence. And then our very own Dr. Mante. Dr. Mante is here with us again. And so, Doc, we are so grateful. We are very grateful for your presence this evening. I don't know if you would want to add something to what Mr. Kwame Opoku said regarding the inclusion of whether all the disciplines are included in the new curriculum. Dr. Mante, if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you very much, and a very good evening to everybody on board here. Just like my good friend Kwame Bokubosu said, um, we are looking at a situation where we say that this is basketry, this is this is ceramics, this is that, this is the as we have now. But the curriculum is widening the boundaries of these areas that we've been comfortable with and we've been teaching. And so we are looking much more at techniques that wade into the use of certain materials and then how those materials are used. So if you are using clay, for instance, in your school, it's a school that has been doing ceramics all this while. Yes, so it means now you can use clay as for ceramic works, and then you can use clay too for other areas. So now the clay doesn't become something that is hemmed to ceramics and ceramics alone, but then it becomes a material that can be used to fabricate three-dimensional items. So yes, all these areas have been captured, as has already been said, but the boundaries have now been broadened. And so teachers are going to see what they like doing best, and then they will be compelled to extend beyond what they like doing best as well when it comes to teaching art and design. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Mante. I'm picking an indication that Professor Osueni would want to add something to it. So, Prof, if you can hear me, kindly.
Okay, thank you. And before I add anything, I would like to, in fact, commend the panelists. They have always been with us through thick and thin. As I speak, they are somewhere else, engaged in the national assignment. But for the love they have for the association, they have joined us. And I'm particularly grateful. The national leadership, we are grateful for your time, commitment, and effort. And the entire Atag membership also are happy for your contribution in that regard, so that together we simplify or make it simple in terms of understanding the tenets of this new curriculum. Now, with the first question, whether or not all the art disciplines are involved in the new curriculum. Yes, if you go into the curriculum, you will not see a black and white, if you like, reference, like, okay, this is sculpture, this is ceramics, you are teaching, this is it. When you are teaching, you are not teaching subjects. You are teaching art and design curriculum. That's a foundation or studio. But the main activities that goes on, the exercises that the learners are going to do, have that ceramic component. They have that sculpture component. So we look at the major building techniques, and they have all been featured. In fact, in one of the sub-strands in Art Foundation, it talks about art Foundation and then the Art Studio. It talks about the major, if you like, scope of art, the scope of art and design. And the sculpture, painting, textiles, ceramics, all they have been mentioned. But this time around, when you're going to teach, you don't say, I'm going to teach textiles. You go and say, okay, I'm teaching art and design studio. And the building activity, if it is ceramic activity you are teaching, so the activity itself determines which area, so that is what I have to add. Thank you.
Yeah, before we go on, let me add this one to it. As Dr. Mante said, the earlier areas that we have, or the areas that we have now, are material and technique oriented. So if you take textiles, it's a material, it's technique, and it's a representational form and the way it is represented. And we made it into a discipline. What we are saying is that now the students have to think about how they want to approach some of these things. All right. And it becomes so prescriptive that this is how textile is done. This is how sculpture is done. This is what this is done. This is how this is done. Now, what the curriculum is seeking to do is to allow the children to think through and bring new ideas in. We are all going to be enriched. We are going to teach what we need to teach. But the students also have to bring in some ideas that they have so that they enrich the curriculum or the teaching experience also. So when we talk about experiential learning, when we talk about project-based learning, as Professor Shen or as Professor Oswani delivered the last time, or Dr. Aqua delivered, realize that all this is to allow the student to think through the process of learning and learn in a peculiar way that is simpler to them and enrich the whole learning activity. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Kwame Bosu and Professor Oswani Kwekwe. We are so grateful. And so we'll move straight away to the second question. I indicated earlier that we have about 14 questions that are outstanding. And then I can see a lot of questions also coming in from the meeting chat room. And so we have to look at them in that manner. And so the second question is from Mr. Emmanuel Bafo. Mr. Emmanuel Bafo is asking, what then is going to be the means of assessment under the new curriculum? What then is going to be the means of assessment under the new curriculum? And so I would like to direct this question to Professor Eric Francis Shen. And so, Prof, if you are within the hearing range of my voice, kindly unmute yourself so that you can respond to this one for us regarding the means of assessment under the new curriculum.
All right, thank you, everyone. It's a great opportunity to be with you once again. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, Prof, we can hear you.
Yeah, we are here.
We can hear you.
Hello.
Hi, Prof.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, right. Now, one quick thing I would like everyone to have on his mind is when we talk about new curriculum, it is not about bringing something from a new planet to visit us. It is about going back to what has been already been put down, looking at it again and revising approaches. Basically, curriculum review has to do with either expansion of content, reduction of content, or looking at pedagogical approaches, how best teachers could handle some subjects or some topics or exercises. So the new curriculum.
There is anything at all. Let us look at how previously we used to assess artworks. It was given to the student 3 months, and then after the 3 months, everything is boxed and sent to WIAC, and WIAC will assemble them, and then the assessors will come and mark. Then after some time, we realized that the human aspect of the whole thing wasn't there anymore, because we don't know how the person did it. The process now doesn't become part of the whole assessment process, right? So then the 5-day or the 30-hour making process for the SSC came in, where now at night examiners will come in, and then there will be the process or the process will be marked, as well as the object itself or the product. So the same thing is going to happen in this new curriculum. But once again, now we are thinking that it should be, okay, I'm doing ceramics, so you should see ceramics. The student is going to do an artwork, and the student has the freedom to use a desired material and a desired technique to arrive at a particular product. So based on that, we're going to look at what material did you use? What technique did you use? Why did you use this material? Why did you use this technique? What was the product that came up? And so if there is anything at all, then we realize that the assessment that we are using now to mark WASI artworks or final products, it's not going to change. It's not going to change much. If anything at all, it is rather going to be enhanced, where we look at products, we look at the content, what you want to do, we look at the process in terms of materials and techniques, and then we look at the products. And at the end of the day, depending on which school you are, and depending on the tradition of the school, you end up bringing one of the traditional works. Your work can be a sculpture, or maybe let's say your work can be a carving, your work can be pottery, your work can be weaving, macrame, whatever, textiles, graphic works. It can be any of them depending on the school that, the traditions of the school that you found yourself. But it is not going to be strictly like we're going to mark textiles, we're going to mark sculpture, we're going to mark this, we are marking it as we are doing now. So that's my little bit for now. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Mante. I think we lost Prof, but Prof is back. Professor Francis said, Prof, if you can kindly continue with your submission. And then I would particularly like if you would want to touch on, I remember your presentation where you talked about community service, that aspect of it. I don't know if it can be woven into the entire narrative. Prof, so kindly have the floor.
All right, thank you. Now, as I've been saying, that the new curriculum is giving us opportunity to expand the strategies that we use in assessment. So we look at assessment as learning, assessment of learning, and assessment for learning. Now, the depth of knowledge, the DOKs that have been drawn up requires that the teacher expects certain levels of outcomes at any point in time during teaching and learning. Now, so for example, if a teacher assigns the class to work in groups and present on a topic, now how is a teacher going to assess such activity? What would the teacher be interested in? Would the teacher be interested in the eloquence, the content, the presentation format, the demeanor of the presenters? What exactly would the teacher be looking for? That requires that the teacher sets out his objective for giving me. Require that you use assessment for learning approach. That may include peer assessment, self-assessment, and teacher assessment. Now, let me also touch on the community project. So for example, you engage students to work on group projects, in the community. You may even, by extension, it's possible that the community may even assess the work to some extent. I'm just giving out the reality of assessment for learning. You may give a project to students to work in the community, and the community leaders or opinion leaders or even the inhabitants of the community may be called upon even to assess the viability of the project, the importance of the project, and that could input into the teacher's assessment. Now, when we open up our assessment and take out the teacher as the sole person who assesses in class, and the teacher always gives assignment and marks, you will be limiting the goals of assessment. So what we are advocating in the new curriculum is that teachers should go beyond the traditional way of assessing and adapt any assessment strategy that they may deem fit. And this may not just happen in a day or a year. And we are just about to introduce the new curriculum. So for the next year and 2 or 3 or 4, the teacher will be going through various training to equip himself or herself on how to use the various assessment strategies. So for now, let us understand that the introduction of assessment for learning, assessment as learning, and assessment of learning is only going to help the teacher do a better job in the classroom. And we can only acquire those competencies over time. So we must be assured that everything will be okay. And let's allay every fear that assessment is going to be complex. Let us just be hopeful that all work together.
Thank you so much, Professor Francis Erication. We are so grateful, Prof.
Yeah, let me add this to it.
Okay. All right.
The reason why we assess students is not to just give results of what they've learned. It's to help them to learn and to help them to know where they are falling short and what they can do next time. That's what Professor was talking about, assessment for learning. There's also one dimension of the assessment that we have to look at in terms of the students we are teaching, how well we know them. In every class, we have three types of students. We have students that know very much, and sometimes beyond what everybody knows in the class. Then we have the people in the middle, and we have people at the bottom. In the curriculum, we call them approaching proficiency, proficient, and higher proficiency. What we are saying is that the assessment is supposed to cater for all of them. So in our classes, we know the students in the class and what every student is capable of. As we set the assignment or as we set the projects, as we set activities, we should be mindful of all these students so that none is left out or none is shortchanged in the lesson. And in assessment too, we should set it clear that this criteria of the student, if they're able to do A, it is okay. If the last group is supposed to do A, B, C, D, E, it is okay. So that when we are teaching about everything, by the heat of assessment, we don't overly dwell on the people that are passing so that we carry all of them along. If the criteria is that they should be able to just give simple answers to it, then we'll bring everybody along.
All right.
All right.
All right. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for the clarity. I think so. We've dealt with two questions for now: the means of assessment, and then whether all the disciplines are going to be involved in the new curriculum. I think these things have now been clarified. And so those who just join us, these are the two questions that our panelists have discussed so far. And we're moving on to the next set of questions. We're dealing with our 14th set of questions, and then I can see a lot of questions trooping in the message meeting chat room, but then we'll attend to them in a while. So the next question, this one I would like Professor Osueni Kwekwesel to address this specific question. Prof, Emanuela Corsa would like to know when the new curriculum is introduced, the duration for the art is going to be like the current one. And then again, whether there are corresponding university courses for art and design foundation or the art and studio design. They would like to know whether when the new curriculum is introduced, the duration for art is going to be like the current one. And then whether there are corresponding university courses for the art and design foundation and then art and studio design. Professor Osueni.
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. If you look at the curriculum itself, and bear in mind the time factor in the delivery, and the fact that there has been course or content overload in our senior high school, for which reason the courses were reduced from 9 to 2. If you look at the new curriculum that is being yet to be implemented, we have 24 weeks. If you look at the whole academic year, it's reduced 24 weeks. So, I mean a term, 24 weeks. So 24 weeks, the courses have been organized such that you'll be able to meet the content or the strand. That is why if you look at it critically, the strands are 3. Then we have sub-strands, and we have content standard indicators. You divide them across, you're going to get 24. And so for each time you go, every week you do one, and you'll be able to face it out or finish it on time. The issue of time, again, I would say that when you go to the class, remember that even if you have an hour or 2 to teach, it means per week you are meeting the students for that time. And so it is the exercises you give that will allow the child to practice more and become better. It is not the number of time you're going to spend in the classroom that's going to make the child better, right? So you have to, that's why the pedagogies have been there. They have been designed such that it's giving the child more opportunity to explore, go and do the work and come and present to the teacher. So as a teacher, you facilitate the process. And let me add that as Dr. Mante and Honorable Bones indicated, there's nothing new that we have introduced. So the universities are already aligned in terms of the courses, because based on what the child learns, now they are going to expand their admission requirements, so that it is not only when you do certain things, but based on whatever you have studied, you get the opportunity to come and do other art education or any other program in a particular university you have applied to go and do. For example, now art students have the opportunity of reading architecture based on the subject combinations they do. And if you come to the University of Education, where I teach, what we have done is that we have revised, or we're in the process of revising our admission requirement to meet what is happening in the new curriculum. Again, when it comes to teacher competences, we are expanding our teaching pedagogies to cater for all this. In fact, it's just going to be kind of adding, or if you like, making it more intense, because all these pedagogies are already catered for, but they're going to make it more intense, and then changing the learning planner, how they do it. Because we have a very complex learning planner that they have to spell out all this. That notwithstanding, the new planner that has come also caters for all this, so they can still incorporate all this. So already, the universities are already aligning, and then there are plans to draw new programs to suit what is happening. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. I'm picking an indication that Professor Eric Francis would also want to share his perspective on this. Prof, if you can hear me, kindly unmute yourself so that you share your viewpoints on it. Because we just picked the indication of UEW. We would like to hear that of KUST as well. Prof, you have the
Thank you very much once again. I will not differ from what Prof has just said. Now, as we considered the new curriculum, we were mindful of what happens in the various universities. And we were also privileged to have had the opportunity where art was just one subject. And yet we had art students doing all sorts of programs. Then came the current curriculum that filled all the opportunities that art and design students had in veering into other areas by defining art electives as the sole area for the art students to go. Now, the new curriculum is saying that no, if a person does art, the person is not consigned or confined to art discipline alone. Art is treated as a subject, and a person may decide to do art foundation and art studio and may decide to do something different in the university, which may not have anything to do with art directly. So the issue that we are confronted with now is for teachers to welcome the new initiative and see how our students are going to be open-minded, have wider career choices and programs to choose from in the universities, rather than to think that art is art and the art students are supposed to do everything art and the rest of the world, they shouldn't be bothered of. We are saying no. We are saying that the student who studies art and design should be able to do law. The student of art and design should be able to do mechanical engineering. The student who takes art and design studio or foundation should be able to do geodetic engineering. So we must accept that the new curriculum is only going to give our students opportunity to integrate and expand their career options. Nothing less, but what we have is more. So, fellow teachers, be assured that the universities are also taking steps to review their intake admission criteria. Now, the universities are going to revise them, and we have 3 years. Don't forget, we have 3 years to look at those things. And by the time the first cohort gets to final year, the universities would have understood the selections that the students will have and be able to reorganize their admission criteria to accommodate all learners from the senior high school. Let me be quick to say that the art and design teachers of today should be able to help their schools to structure their programs such that the art and design, and you know, we are not going to have any group of students called visual art students or art and design students. There's nothing like that. All that we will have is art, science and non-science students. So there wouldn't be any group of student learners called home science or elective whatever, or no, there wouldn't be such a thing. So the teachers will have to be open-minded and see how the new organization of subjects will enable learners to benefit from the gamut of subjects that have been lined up for them to choose. Now, I want to believe that this platform will also give us opportunity to really define possible subjects that learners will have to permutate along the line, so that at the end of their 3-year program, they will be well fitted into the criteria that will be set up by all the universities. So for now, all hands on deck. Teachers must be open-minded, take the new curriculum wholeheartedly, see that the people who did the new curriculum are not partisan, they are not archaic, they don't have any evil intention, but they want us to go our profession. I tell you what, let me tell you something. I get mad when I get to classroom. When my students cannot read, third-year university students cannot read. And what will be the reason? The reason being that the English teachers and math teachers were not taking them serious. We are saying that with all apologies. Those nonsense must stop. We are saying that when we have worked hard for Art and Design Foundation to be a core, all because we want the Ghanaian to appreciate the value of art and design. Core, one of the core subjects. We must be happy and understand that the learners that we will have will come up from all the various disciplines, and they will be rich in terms of knowledge acquisition, and their chances in life will be better enhanced. That is all that this new curriculum seeks to do, and that is all that all the writers and reviewers sought to do, to make sure that the Ghanaian learners have good career opportunities in life. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Prof, for that, and for acknowledging the effort of Atag, and then your very good self for pushing so hard so that art will be adopted as a core subject. I can see Dr. Mante. Dr. Mante, you want to make a suggestion to that? You want to make a contribution?
Yes, I will not wait away from art to other areas so much. But I'm looking at art as it's done now, even at the university. And then looking at art that will be required in the next 5, 6, 10, 20 years. Now, when the child comes to, or the learner comes to the university to do just, let's say, sculpture, where I'll say that where I'm teaching at Care University, the question is, what is that child or learner coming to learn in terms of materials, in terms of methods, and in terms of emerging trends? And then also, what is that skill and the knowledge the learner acquires? How can it be made significant in all other areas of human endeavor? Now, that is the thinking which was put into this particular art and design curriculum. It is not just like, okay, when I finish art and design and I come to the university, I'm coming to do ceramics. I'll produce bowls. I'll produce this. I'll produce that. Please, that thinking has to be relooked. And that is what we relooked. But we shouldn't forget that if somebody is in your class now and the person is about 15 years or 16 years, the person is going to be significant in the next 15 or 15 years. Then the person is about 30 years or 35 years. So going forward, we are looking at courses that they will be able to do. If they don't move away from art, the person comes in to do graphic design, which is enshrined in the university, comes in to do textiles, which is enshrined, comes in to do whatever. Now, when the person comes out as a graduate of sculpture or as a graduate of graphic design, how is a person going to be relevant in other areas? Let's say engineering, let's say architecture, let's say medicine. I mean, just name them, agriculture. How is the person going to be relevant there? So it is not always going to be like, okay, I did art, I want to divert into other areas. Yes, I did art, I want to do art all the same. So I'm doing all the traditional courses in the university. The university is now relooking their courses, like Professor Sweeney and Professor Shen said. The universities are relooking their courses such that after doing art and design, if you still want to come and do art the way it is being done in the universities now, you don't become hemmed up in art, but you become a versatile person who is so significant to all other areas. So yes, I would say that there are a lot of courses to be done at the university when a person does art and design, studio foundation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And so we're looking at building an art student who is a versatile person, and then will be very important or relevant to all the other areas. I can see Mr. Kwame Pokubonzu's hand. Doc, would you want to share your view on it?
To share something? Yes, I would like to share something small.
Okay, sir. Please proceed.
I would like colleagues to look for 3 Ghanaian artists. I would say even 4 Ghanaian artists. Let's look at for Ibrahim Mahama, who is now popular, where everybody knows of his juice hack and things. Let's look for Teresa Ankama. Let's look for Tresina Koshi. Let's look for These artists, these are Ghanaian artists. They are like almost all young people in the 2010s and 2015s. And their work are bringing new methodologies, new ideas, new materials, traditional art. It's interesting. It just took the 4 gallons, and the rest is history. So what we are saying is that the art that we are looking at, or the way the art is going, the art is in the young people, and they are going to bring new ideas on what they will be able to do in the universities. For my department, for instance, at a point we were taking anything that you used to support it was okay, because we wanted the information or the artography, the person, the basketry. But in art, all these have been used for sculpture in so many other areas. So what we are saying is that what the other people are going to bring into art is equally important as what artists or the art is going to give to the other people when they come to the university. Secondly, when the people have become artists, the rest that are going to go into other areas will become art lovers, art buyers, art patrons, and it will arrange the escape for the practicing artists. So we should look at it from that point, that we are cross-fertilizing the entire field with art. And the other areas are also bringing new ideas into the art that we are going to see. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Kwame Pokubonsu. I think that is well made. And I think Professor Francis Eshen has raised a significant point that going forward, we'll also have to look at the permutations, which I think would also be very important as well. I believe our national president, who is also a panelist today, is listening and may consider that proposal, so we'll look at it. And in line with that, I can see a question in the meeting chat room from Cole in Chroma. He talks about the fact he wants to find out whether this new art and design curriculum is limited to senior high schools. And then Dr. Eric Jaco would also want to know whether the art students are going to continue the art and design foundation after the first year in SHS together with the studio design as their main elective. And so these two questions I would like to invite Mr. Kwame Pokubon so that you can easily address these issues and then we look at the way forward. Sir, can you hear me?
Yes,
okay.
I'm here.
Okay.
I think we've made this point over and over again that there's not going to be anybody called the art student. I don't know whether it's talking about the people in SHS now or the ones that are coming in. The ones that are coming in, as Professor Shen said, and as the curriculum specified, we are going to have science and we have science pathway and we have non-science pathway. And for the non-science pathway, art and design foundation is a core. So there will be somebody in the science pathway who will pick art and design studio as part of his distance and take other science courses on it and move on. There may be somebody in non-science area that will pick art and design foundation and art and design studio as electives and still move on with it. So the permutations that are coming are very complex. So there's not going to be anybody like our student or not that we are going to treat like if our students say you have to do A and B or B on A. There's not going to be anything like that. So it's the student that's going to look, I have a science pathway. I'm taking a science pathway. I have the art and design foundation as my core. And I'm going to add art and design studio to it so that it better my chances of going to different areas. So those permutations are going to come through as we go through the distance. The other thing is that when you want to do art in the university, it is better you carry it through. You do the art and design foundation through and art and design studio through. As and when the art courses in the university will decide that you can take only art and design foundation for art, I don't know yet, but to better your chances, I think it is better that you choose both art and design studio and art. You can drop it. Because you don't have art students, you can drop it if you think it's giving you a problem. There are students that will take some subjects and they think that is giving them a problem and they can drop it. But as you drop a subject, it also look at the chances that you are going to have. Because what is happening is that you are supposed to have about between 3 and 4 areas of study when you get to the university. At least 4 broad areas that you can fit into when you get to the university. So as you are dropping courses, you know you are limiting your areas that you can have access to. All right.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I will be proceeding to Professor Francis Eshen and then Dr. Mante shortly. But before that, Professor Seni, I would like you to address this particular question. I mean, it came forth in the frequently asked questions and then in a meeting chat room. Teachers or members will want to know the state of preparation for the new curriculum, particularly in reference to studios, and then what Art Teachers Association of Ghana is also doing about that. I think this is a specific question to the National Executive Committee, and once you are the president, I would be glad if you address it.
Okay, thank you. When it comes to preparation towards the rolling of the new curriculum, the issue of equipping the studios with the state of the art equipment has been drummed home a lot of times. We have had engagement with the leadership, GS, about the fact that we need state-of-the-art studios so that learners will be better equipped in carrying out their practical works. As we speak, we want to echo that point again or keep on hammering that point. So what we have tasked our national and regional executive to do is that we want to make a case. But that case we want to use research-based approach. by so doing, we want to find out how many senior high schools have studios, and those who don't have studios. We have to do a compilation of all the regions. And then based on that, we write a letter to it, and then we forward it so that together we will know that, okay, this is it, this is the state of the studio, this is it. Then we can make a case so that government can come to our aid in that direction. It is only through that we can just say that, yes, we cannot make a blanket statement. Yes, we know the realities on the ground that the studios are not well equipped, but we need to take the statistics from the schools across Ghana so that we can present it. So we are actually worried about the state of the studios, but that notwithstanding, we will not throw away the option of improvising to teach. Remember, we are in the field of creativity. Yes, I know too much of improvisation when we don't have the state of the material. Sometimes also it's a limitation. But as government also does its part, as teachers, we also have to be creative enough to see, how we can explore with the materials in our very environment, in a context that is going to suit the Ghanaian situation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I was just thinking that you could add, there's also a follow-up there, if you could just address it regarding textbooks. I wanted to relay that one to Professor Francis Eshen regarding textbooks and all that. So Professor, if you can address that regarding the textbooks and other resources in terms of teaching and learning materials.
Okay, Professor will add something to that. But let me say that in terms of textbook, in order to have a smooth transition or beginning of the curriculum, what TTEL together with NACA, what they are doing is that they've assembled scholars or experts who are writing learning materials for the teacher. And this is the first time that the curriculum has come and it has manuals for the teachers as well as learning material that the learners are going to use. So by the time the curriculum is, enrolled, the learners already have their material they are going to read. And then other microsites that TTEL have developed so that we can go there to get some new material, additional materials to add. Let me also add that some of the existing materials in the system that have been written by some of our colleagues could also be relevant in adding. So we have additional reading material. So in terms of textbooks, when learners will be free to go online to download them at their own will. And those who even don't have internet, the thing is zero rated. So it means even if you don't have internet, you'll be able to have access to it and download it at your comfort and get it. So in terms of textbook you're going to get. So what we're looking forward to, the studio tools equipment, that's what we're looking forward to. Thank you. Professor, we want to hear you.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, thank you. I think you've said it all. The last part is what interests me most. That is, teachers should not think that without textbook, the program cannot roll out. There are more than enough resources available online and in the libraries for teachers to hold on to and use. Now, as we have been saying, what the new art and design curriculum seeks to do is something so different in terms of departing from the traditional way of doing things, stereotypical way of, no, we would like to get learners to get used to certain materials, skill sets, and come out with novel solutions. We are talking about creativity, problem solving, and that will not be found in any book. It will be the putting together of skill sets, materials, and being exposed to materials, processes, and others, that the learner will come up with novel solutions. So with regards to the outcomes, they are supposed to be novel, unseen before. But with regards to knowledge, they already exist. And as Prof has said, there are other materials that are being prepared to help the smooth transition from the old curriculum to the new curriculum. So teachers, be assured, all is on course. You have nothing to be afraid of. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think this clarifies a heated argument that maybe the new curriculum is going to face the challenges of other previous curriculums that we had. And so we are glad to hear that there's going to be this arrangement and it is in place to ensure that the curriculum is rolled out successfully. And so I would like to forward this question to Dr. Mante. Dr. Mante, if you are within the hearing range of my voice, let me direct this one to you. This is from Benis. Benis would like to know if there's going to be retention of teachers regarding the new curriculum. And if there is not going to be anything like that, how are the teachers going to operate? This is the question from Benis. She wants to find out whether there's going to be retention of teachers. And then if it is not the case, how are the teachers going to operate? If you are not a teacher or if you're a visual art teacher, how are you going to operate this time around? If you are not going to start. Dr.
Yes,
Mante, can you hear
you very loud and clear. Thank you very much. The first thing I want to say is that it's fair. The content and the vision of the new curriculum, our teachers are rather going to have a lot more work to do. Why? Because hitherto, teachers were thinking that, okay, I am teaching ceramics, I am teaching this, I'm teaching that. But here's the case, teachers are going to teach art. And here's the case, we are not just going to get a visual art student, but we are going to get students who are doing art and design. So the science part, we might want to do art and design. Foundation, which of course is compulsory to them, and some might venture to do studio as well. Then those who, the non-science pathways, those who want to move to do art at the university will be doing the art and design foundation and studio. That will add to that. Then there will be another group who are, for lack of a better description, let me use the old or the current trend to show how things are going. So here we are, people who are doing home economics or want to do the art. Some will be doing general art who want to do the art. Then there is another curriculum too that has been written, the design and communication technology, which also has a lot of components in drawing and pattern making. And all those ones will be handled by the mention them. I don't think it should be a problem at all. If anything at all, it is that the art teacher is now going to get much more work to do. Unfortunately, teachers might not be in their comfort zone as is being done now. That, okay, I did ceramics, so I can teach only ceramics. You did ceramics, at least you did drawing, you did some history, you did whatever, so you should teach all through. And then also looking at where they will be placed. Depending on how the school structure its timetable and whatever, the teacher will still have, like, I am in the art department, the sculpture department, or I'm in the ceramic department, or I'm in the textile department. You are teaching art, and the school in which you are, depending on the timetable, will reassign you the specific job that you'll be doing in terms of teaching of the art. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mante. We will have to take the next question, but let me acknowledge the presence of some of our national executives. Madam Naomi, you are welcome. Thanks for joining us. I can see Honorable Joe Swansea, our national executive, also joining us. Swansea, you are welcome. Thanks for joining us. I can see a lot of questions coming in a meeting chat room. There are a lot of questions trooping in. We'll take them, but then we will have to exhaust the ones that we sampled so that we can come back to that. We've seen questions on performing arts, questions on how parents can be involved in the process, and then the learning planner and all that. We'll come back to that. But let me go to Professor Francis Eshen. Prof, this question was specifically directed to you. I think that was pursuant to your presentation on the pedagogical usage. So someone wants to know, what are the differences between experiential learning, project-based learning, and then problem-based learning? And then the suitable duration for these pedagogies. I think that is a specific question to you. When you did your presentation, we couldn't capture it. And so he wants to find out the differences between experiential learning, project-based learning, and then problem-based learning, and then the suitable durations for these pedagogies. Professor Eric Francis, if you can hear me, sir.
Thank you very much. I would like to say this. As I grew, I learned to create. So what we found in the academia is people research and come up with proposals, and they defend the proposal. I have come up with an idea and named it. Does not mean that somebody else cannot name the same concept in another way. So if we all have right to create a name, then we will have experiential, we have project, we have problem-based. All that I'm saying is they are almost the same thing, but they all pick experiential. All that experiential is saying is that you learn by doing. What project-based learning is saying that you learn by producing. What problem-based learning is saying is that you learn by solving problems. That's all. So you realize that they are almost the same. You can use the words interchangeably, but the issue is you must understand the key concepts that run through. And as I have said, experiential means that you learn by experience. You experience the material. You experience the skill whilst you do. Now, when we talk about project-based could be a little bit different. Somebody in mathematics do a project-based without the person creating or whatever. So what for the learner to do? It's different from problem-based. Problem-based is ask the learner to look around in the room and see what is missing and identify what he can use his skills and materials available to create, to solve a problem in this room. And depending on the number of learners that you expose them to the room, somebody will see a label as a problem. Somebody will see a flower, there's no flower in this room, there's no flowers. Somebody will see there's no wall hanging on the wall. There's no. So different learners would look at different problems and try to come up with their own self-motivated, directed outcomes. So all that I'm saying is they are not two strange words for us to understand. They are
Thank
as
you.
simple as I have explained.
Wow.
And if you have more time, you read further around them. So in the application to the curriculum, the teacher will look at the task, the learning outcome he is expecting, what the curriculum is, the learners will choose, pick and choose which approach to adapt. So in the same on the same topic, two schools are different
Hello, sir.
locations, may depend to look at the problem from different angles. One may use problem-based approach to solve the problem. Somebody will use object-based approach to solve it. Somebody will use experiential.
Hello, Prof.
So
Prof, we have a
there's no much
challenge here.
difference between the three. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I think we got you loud and clear. And let me throw emphasis on it. Prof has indicated that. Prof, we had you right. The experiential learning is learning by doing. Project-based is learning by production. And then problem-based is learning by solving a problem. And this is simple and so clear. And I think it is helping to shape that particular question. Thank you so much, Prof. We would want to move to Mr. Opoku Bonsu. Mr. Opoku Bonsu. One would like to find out. Let me go back to the chat room so that I can come back here. Whilst I target this question as Mr. Opoku Bonsu, Dr. Mante, kindly prepare. There's a question on learning planner. We'll come to that shortly. Angel Ramona would like to find out, why is performing art included in the art curriculum? And what is the way forward, since it wasn't one of our courses, especially when it has to do with art education. But music, for instance, is classified under social science. Meanwhile, it has been under creative art. And so I don't know exactly what the person is trying to say, but I think Ramona would like to find out, why is performing art included in the arts curriculum? And what is the way forward, since it wasn't one of the courses initially. So specifically, I'm sure he or she is talking about visual arts, inclusion of performing art into the visual arts curriculum. Mr. Pokubons, if you want to address this.
Yes, I'm here. When you talk about art and design, performing art is not part of it. Performing art is not part of art and design. It is only part when you go to the DPLC, in which certain courses have been put together so that you plan on how to teach them. But for art and design, performing art is not part. It has never been part, and it's not part of it. It's a separate course, it's a separate subject that is also available at the secondary school level, at the SHS level, for people to pick. So that's about it. Music is not part of it. Music is part of performing arts now. Hello.
Okay.
Music is part of the
so we can hear you.
Arts now. It's not about. Yes, it's not part of it. So it's only PLC that they become part of a group. That's why they have PE, physical education, performing arts, becoming the art and design group that they go to PLC together so that they discuss how things are supposed to be done. PLCs are done in such a way that they are a group of subjects that are put together so that when they go and they are designing, the way they are discussing how things are supposed to be done, the way everybody thinks wraps on somebody so that they find ways of doing things. Okay. But in terms of the subject itself, a performing art is not part of it. All right.
All right.
As simple as that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the clarity on that. Dr. Mante will come to you, but then before that, let's pick the contribution from Professor Osueni Kwekweso. Prof, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you. Just as Honorable Bonsu hinted, performing arts is a separate course on its own. It's a course on its own, or it's a subject that it's on its own. But let me add that I think he's asking the question in terms of the classification. When we're classifying the scope of art and design, we said art and design is we have the visual aspect and the performance aspect. Now you may be doing visual art, all right, but there may be performance included in the work. In conceptual art, we have some kind of art that is performance. So we are looking at art in terms of the performance. For example, somebody may be a visual artist, all right, but he may be into incorporating music and other movement into his work, And so this one, the performance, is part of it. It's not that visual, like, okay, what do we see in the with the eye? That's what only is visual art, right? We have performance sipping into the art and design stuff and the whole lot, where we have simulations and whatnot and whatnot. So we're looking at performance in the context of certain performances that come in the art, but not as a subject on its own. But when it comes to performance as a subject on its own, that's when we are performing arts as a whole subject, which encompasses music, dance, and theater arts, which has been catered for as a new subject on its own in the senior high school curriculum. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that contribution. So we now move to the next question. We have a host of questions. So far, we've dealt with about 7 of them and other questions from the meeting chat room. And so if you just join us, we are engaging. This is a roundtable discussion with Professor Francis Eric Shen, with Mr. Kwame Opoku-Bonsu, with Dr. Mante, and then we have Professor Osueni Kwekwe. So on the roundtable, we're having a discussion on the curriculum, questions that were frequently asked during the 5 previous webinars that we had. And so we move on. We'll come back to the chat room. There are a lot of questions coming in, but then let's take this question. This question is targeted at Dr. Mante. Dr. Mante, kindly unmute yourself and then respond to this question. And so this is the question that one of our members asked. He would like to know what are the key elements to look up to in drafting a learning planner. And then there are 2 questions. So if you could listen. So the first one is what are the key elements to look up to in drafting a learning planner? Essential questions. So in drafting the essential questions of a learning planner, what are the key elements you look up to? And then the second one is, must the essential questions target the teacher or the learner, or the teacher and learner? Must the essential questions target the teacher or the learner, or the teacher and learner? And so these are the 2 questions that one of our members would like to find out. Dr. Mante, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you. Well, that's a very interesting question, though. And I'm starting bottom up. Now, in the classroom setting, teaching and learning is now not segregated. Teaching and learning goes on between the teacher and then the learner. So in drafting essential questions, you are looking at both the teacher and then the learner. And I remember the day I did my presentation, I brought some 3 key points that what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do it? And why am I supposed to? And why do I want to do it using the various techniques, pedagogies, and whatever that I want to do? So in setting essential questions, these are the parameters that should guide you. The first one is, what am I doing? And when it gets to the learner's side too, what is the learner supposed to do? What is the learner supposed to acquire from the learner? Then, how am I, as a teacher, going to do it? So to the learner too, how will the learner be able to do it? What is going to be the processes that the learner can use in doing it? Then eventually we get the why. Why am I even teaching ABCD to the learner? Then why should the learner even spend energy to go through this learning process? Now, the essential questions. It looks beyond just the classroom to what the skill acquired, what the knowledge acquired, what the attitude acquired can also be used. And what it can be used for aside the classroom. And so in crafting the essential questions, getting to know your context and getting to know your strength, substance, all these things, you ask these questions in certain forms that are related to how you want to teach. So it is not just about something for the teacher or something for the learner. It is something for both the teacher and the learner and the whole teaching and learning process. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do it? Why am I even doing it? What will be the impact of this thing that the learner is learning on the learner's long-term or lifelong learning? What will be the impact of the pedagogies that I'm using on the teaching and learning activities in the classroom? So these are some of the things that you look at. But one thing is, there are no hard and fast rules as to how to write the essential questions. It depends on peculiar problems or peculiar situation in your classroom, and it depends on how you want to engage your learners as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mante, for that insightful one. And let me also emphasize that Dr. Mante indicated that if you look at the learning planner or the learner planner, everything that you need to populate in it is in the teacher manual. But then the essential questions is what you would have to introduce by yourself. And so, Prof, thank you so much for that clarity that you brought to the fore. I don't know if other panelists would like to, Professor Eshen, would you like to say something? Mr. Kwame Bozu, would you like to share your view on it? Because I'm seeing a lot of questions trooping in the chat room, so we move forward to that point. Professor Eshen, would you like to say something on this?
Let's move on to the next.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. There is a question regarding the students moving to the colleges of education. And that question is coming from Mr. Joe Swansea. Mr. Joe Swansea is asking, please, my question is, these students will end up in the tertiary levels. Please, the College of Education is running different arts programs as pertain in the university. Do you have plans to modify the Colleges of Education arts program? Let me take the question again. He's saying that, Mr. Swansea is saying that, my question is, these students will end up in the tertiary levels. Please, the College of Education is running different arts programs as pertain in the university. Do you have plans to modify the Colleges of Education arts program? This question, let's take views from Professor Oswin Kwekwesa, and then Professor Francis Eshen will also address it as well. Prof, if you can hear me, kindly respond.
Thank you very much for the question. looking at the creative art and design, that is a core for all basic schools in Ghana. And the fact that the art and design curriculum has also come into existence, that take encourage from the basic school curriculum, so that we have a synergy up to the university. You observe that in Ghana, it is important to put on record that there's no teacher that has been trained as a professional creative art teacher. What do I mean by that? By this statement, I mean that when you look at the creative arts as it pertains in the basic school, it involves theater, arts, dance, and the visual art aspect. Music and then the visual art aspect. So we have the performing art aspects and then the music aspects. And if you look at the curriculums that are run in Ghana, either we train the teacher trainees in the visual art aspects or the music aspect. Now, when a teacher who has been trained in the music aspect or visual art aspect go to the class, he teaches what he has been taught, and then he leaves the other aspects. And so, by so doing, by implication, there's no teacher that has been trained as a professional creative art teacher. And 3 years ago, the School of Creative Art, we introduced a new program called BA, Bachelor of Art in Creative Art and Design, that encompasses the visual art aspect and then the visual art aspect. As I speak, the students are in 300, they're about to go to 400 and then hit. So they are going to be the first batch of creative art teachers that have been trained to handle the subject. Because we get a lot of calls from teachers who are complaining on handling the subject. Because the teachers handling it, either they didn't do art at all or they are in one side, either performing or visual art aspect. It is expected that the colleges of education curriculum meets what is happening at the basic level, so that when the teachers go there, they'll be able to handle. So that it means that their curriculum is expected to have the visual art aspect and the performance aspect, so that they will have a holistic education that they'll be able to nurture the children there. So when they come to SSS, just as we have, put together the 9 subjects, bringing it into 2, so that they know that it's about technique, it's about material exploration, and then some kind of performance to it, so that it's going to be very easy for them. And with that, the teachers go to the field and they are still going to suffer. So it means there is the need for a curriculum review in that circumstance. But let me say that to answer this question, we're going to have a public lecture. In the next week or 2, there's a public lecture by Atag on the subject matter. So we have a specialist who is going to talk to that subject. And so when it is time and you see our flyers, do join and let's engage in the conversation. It is you and I, Atag members, who will contribute to make art great and great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor Oswenu Kokweso, for that insight. Professor Eric Francis, Prof, please, you have the floor.
Right, thank you. I think just to add a little to what Prof just said, it's heartwarming to know that Winneba has taken the initiative to help out at the basic level. We have made everything at the basic level also so hard to a point that teachers and school managers and parents take art at basic level too serious to examination level. It shouldn't have been the case. Now, if we understood that art or creative art and design at the primary level is just to empower and expose learners to creative activities, we wouldn't have been hard on ourselves for teachers even to demand that I'm not trained, I'm not done that, I'm not that. Apparently, when they were in school, they were not interested in art. There were no materials. There is nothing. So we find ourselves in a difficult situation though. Now, but teaching art at primary level shouldn't have been a problem, even up to basic level. Shouldn't have been a problem at all. Teachers could have gotten some books on how to do basic things, like in the Montessori schools, having fun with colors, having fun with materials and others. That is what spurs the creativity for people to be interested in the art. So immediately you make art like a reading subject or examination level, you kill the initiative that students would have in exploring materials, methods, and ideas. So it is a problem, but I want to believe that Atag has an interesting platform to introduce interesting workshop scenarios to help teachers who are already on the field on how to execute basic art exercises so that teachers can handle the situation in the interim, whilst the tertiary institutions prepare adequately to train teachers that have the requisite professional skills to deliver on that. So what to know how to teach art to basic levels and together we grow. So we are working hard, issues seriously, and they will be looking at it with time. When they have enough professional art and design educators moving into those schools, they will be able to establish those programs over there. So over to you. Those who have masters in the art and design education have interest in moving from the secondary level to the College of Education level. They have a wonderful opportunity to gain some positions, appointment over there. So I will encourage you, those of you on the platform who have masters in art education and any of MFA in other, the colleges of education is a wonderful place to find yourself. So move up the scale from NAT to how do you even call ourselves? The university, UTAG, to become a tertiary level teachers. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof. That is a wonderful invitation to the training colleges. This is a personal invitation from Prof. that those of you with masters in art education, there's more room for you to also work in some of these colleges as well. I can see Dr. Sumaila Issa's hand, but Doc, you would have to send me your question privately or your suggestion privately. As I speak, a lot of questions that we have to look at, so we'll give you time in the process, but not now. So kindly send your question or your suggestion. I know you are with the College of Education. Dr. Sumaila Issa is our national organizer and also vice principal at one of the colleges of education in the Western region. And so I will be expecting your suggestion and your contribution. But there's a question, Mr. Kwame Opokubonsu, sir, if you would want to address this specific question. The finding out, this is from Andrews Madakena. Andrews Madakena is saying that he wants to find out if the Art and Design Foundation is going to be practical oriented or solely theoretical, while the Art and Design Studio becomes practical. And so he wants to find out the two, whether Art and Design Foundation is going to be practical oriented or solely theoretical, while the Art and Design Studio becomes practical. Mr.
Yeah, I'm here.
Opoku Bonsu,
I'm here.
if you can hear me. Okay,
Yes.
sir. All right.
No, the Art and Design Foundation is quite similar to the general knowledge in art, with enhanced histories and aesthetic and criticism and basic design. So it's partly practical and partly theoretical. Okay. But the theory outweighs the practical in certain ways. In that we have drawing and we have basic design being the counter to being the other part of it to the theory, which is mainly the histories, which are the Ghanaian, the African, and the global art that the students are supposed to know. When you go to the studio, there's also theory part of the studio. If you realize that in the present dispensation, when you take let's say sculpture, when you take textiles, when you take there are some theory that comes with it. So there's some theory in the studio too. But if you have to weigh, there's about 75 practicals and 25% um, 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 theory in the studio, and about 60% theory and 40% practical in the foundation too. So that's how it is. But the emphasis is on theory in the foundation. The emphasis is on the practical in the studio. All right. So the theory in the studio is to help you understand the practice very well. And the practice in the distance is supposed to help you to think about the art that you are doing very well. If you realize that when Professor Shen was doing his presentation, we were talking about the conception of the idea and the doing of it. The conception has to do with the foundation, and the doing is in the, what do you call it, the studio. Hope that makes sense.
Yes, you've nailed it right there. But then, say if you would want to touch on this one too, they are asking
Okay.
earlier on we discussed the means of assessment where you dealt with it, and then Prof indicated that there are other avenues of assessment that can be explored, not making it so rigid. But then, is WAEC? Someone wants to find out whether WAEC is still going to be the external body for the assessment, and then what form is it going to be? Is it still going to be the percentages that we know, or there are modifications regarding this new curriculum introduction?
No, curriculum, WAEC is in the process of bringing out what they are going to do. We've had series of engagement with WAEC, and WAEC is going to bring what WAEC will engage with institutions, what it's supposed to do. Most of the time, what WAEC does is to have its own set of curriculum, what our teachers call WAEC curriculum, the areas that are accessible. So those are things, those things have been done, and eventually, WAEC will come out. But the input was that there's a new way that we have to look at it. The project-based, extended projects, the theory projects, and all those things. WAEC will bring them out, but the WAEC is going to be the final arbiter. Just that the student is also going to have a transcript that shows the course that you've done, which is different from the final examination. But WAEC is going to be the final lesson of it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. So if I'm getting you right, as it stands now, it is the same percentages that we know that is going to be used until WAEC has finished negotiation with the bodies that matter. Is that the case?
No. WAEC is actually doing that. And I cannot be here and say why WAEC will say. You understand? That's the reason why I'm trying to stay away from what WAEC will put up. I wouldn't want to say something that will be different from what WAEC is bringing up. It's not going to be the same. Something new is happening, and WAEC will bring them out when the time is right. That's what I'm trying to say. But WAEC is going to be the final examination body that will do that.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. There are questions here that I think can easily be responded to. Someone is attempting to find out whether there's a possibility of a standardized learner planner that exists from the curriculum developers to help facilitate their lessons, because they feel they are having challenges developing the learning planner. Some teachers are having challenges populating the learning planner. And Professor Sweeney, I don't know if you want to talk about this, because I think the learner planner was dealt with by Dr. Mante some time past, and then members acknowledge understanding of the entire engagement. So I'm still having difficulty with this one. But Prof, is there a standardized learning planner that will be used when the curriculum is fully rolled out?
Yeah, thank you. I know Dr. Mante is going to add to this. Let me say that this subject, the subject of learner planner, just as you indicated, has been dealt with, or we treated it in one of our webinars. So we are going to share the link with you. Go to our WhatsApp platforms and our YouTube channel, Atag TV. You're going to get it. Just go to YouTube and type Atag TV. And the learner planner, you're going to get it. Let me say that if you look at the learner planner itself, it's a template. And the templates, all that you need to put on the templates are captured in the teacher manual, with the exception of the essential question. And then the very activities you are going to do to induce learning in the classroom. So the activities you are going to do to induce learning, if you look or if you think through the pedagogical approaches, you see that they are almost pre-suggested. So I'll kindly entreat that you look at our presentation that was done by Dr. Mante on the learner planner, where he gave example. And then we even had a teacher who was who modeled that particular learner planner that Dr. Mante developed. So thank you. Dr. Mante, would you like to add to it?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, Doc, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Talking about a standardized learning planner. In fact, one thing that we try to avoid is to let it be like all students are the same. So we have suggested areas which has been pre-populated in the learning planner to you. But when it gets to the essential questions, which I spoke about earlier, you know your students. And so it will be crafted depending on the peculiar situation in your classroom. Then when it gets to the activities also is peculiar to your school and to your classroom. And so if I'm teaching in Brahama Muni Secondary School and you are teaching at Presec, and I use situation in Presec to teach my students the being called for standardized learning planner, it may not be applicable. Same way, if I use the Brahama Bumi example to teach in Presec, it might not be applicable. So what is happening here is that teachers should look at the pedagogical exemplars that has been suggested, and then craft activities out of it that will suit the peculiar situation in their classrooms. And I must say that if teachers take the DPLC session very serious. By the third week, they will be masters of crafting the learning planner. It is not as difficult as we see it. It is just like, how am I going to teach my learners, looking at their strength, looking at their weaknesses? So what activities will I engage them to understand A, B, C, D, and to be able to apply it in art and design? That's all. It is not as difficult as we see it. So there shouldn't be, and there wouldn't be, a standardized learning plan beyond the pre-populated ones. For the activities, I don't think it's something that will be recommended. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mante, for that addition. If you just join us, this is the Atag webinar series. We're having a roundtable discussion on the curriculum. And we have here our own professor, Professor Eric Francis Eshen, who's joining us from KNUST. We have Dr. Mante joining us from KNUST. We have Mr. Kwame Opoku-Bonsu joining us from KNUST, and our National Atag President, Professor Usweni Kukwesa, joining us from UEW, Winneba. And it has been an insightful discussion. We've had about 10 to 11 questions answered to from the frequently asked questions sections, and then our meeting chat room also came in with a lot of questions that has been answered. We will take the last question. We are right about time. It's exactly 9 o'clock. And then we just have to spend additional 5-10 minutes, and then we draw the curtains for today's session. And so let's move to the meeting chat room, and then we get a question that was asked previously. And so this is from Joshua Agentete. Joshua Agentete. This was in response to Dr. Opoku Bonsu, that at the JHS and primary level, music is part of creative art and design. This will be assessed, this BEC, as jointly with the visual. I don't know exactly what Mr. Ajin is trying to say, but then I think he's just trying to draw our attention to the fact that music is currently part of the creative art and design curriculum that is run at the basic school level, and that it is going to be assessed at the BEC. And so this also talks about the fact that Professor Francis Eshen raises that he finds it difficult to understand why creative arts, which its original idea was to make sure that students at that level get their hands on these creative abilities, but then it has been taken to that level of assessment, which is a bit of a concern. So Prof raised that issue. But I don't know if Dr. Sweeney would like to talk about this, because earlier on he has indicated that Atag National is going to hold a workshop, another series on it, and an engagement on it to address that issue. Because currently, the statistics show that there is no creative art teacher a fully trained creative art teacher in the system now. And so you will be raising that. Prof, I can see you want to raise an issue. You want to draw, you want to discuss something on that?
Yeah, something brief. Yes, as I said, we're having a public lecture on the creative arts, regarding what happens in colleges of education, and it being in sync with what is happening at the primary school levels. Yeah, so we'll be doing a public lecture. It will be handled by one of our seasoned lecturers from Cape Coast. And so we look forward to that soon. But you see, those who teach creative arts at the basic school level, many of them reduce it. They reduce it as a hobby or as a matter of singing, drumming, and dancing, right? Rather than engaging the learners in the practical activities that is going to induce, or if you like, bring out their invention, their creativity stuff. This has been recorded by researchers, in the field. And so many, scholars have pointed out to that fact. So this is evidence-based. And that is why there's a need to take a second look at this. And so I'm not going to take the wind out of the sail, but I will invite all of you to come and listen to our public lecture when we advertise the date. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof, for that insightful conversation on that. And so, participants, we are so excited to have you today. The last one, I think, was coming from Barbara Ofe. Barbara, your question, I think, has already been addressed. You wanted to find out whether business science and general arts, as we used to have in the traditional secondary schools, would there be divisions or programs just as that we used to have? I think Mr. Kwame Opoku-Bonsu has indicated that we have the non-science areas and then the science areas. And so let me go back to my panelists. So that they pass their final comments on today's discussion. And so let's start from Professor Francis Erikeshen. Prof, your final comment on today's discussion.
Thank
Prof.
you. I want to assure fellow teachers that the introduction of the new curriculum will only enhance our profession, will make our learners more aggressive learners, open up the career opportunities for our learners and future leaders of the country. So we should together be hopeful, and I know everything is being done to ensure the rollout is a success. Much money has gone into the preparation. It's not yet over yet, and they are determined that whatever it takes for the new curriculum to roll out smoothly and effectively is done. So let's keep our fingers crossed and let us do our bit. As the president has said, there must be data from the field. The number of schools that are offering currently visual art, the spaces that are available, the issues, challenges, your numbers. We should be able to put all these things together and make a case where we deem fit. So I challenge you all to submit your school's information to the Atag national executives for them to do a good compilation so that we'll be able to appreciate what is on the ground. Thank you once again, and good evening to you all. Have a wonderful and pleasant week. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Prof, we appreciate. Prof, we are so grateful for your engagement every day. We say God bless you so much, Prof. We are grateful for your time and then your encouragement and then your insightful presentation. Prof, we are so grateful. Dr. Mante.
Yes, I'm here.
Doc, if you can hear me.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Your final comment, sir.
All right. I'm sorry about that. What I'll have to say is that teaching of art is not going to be the same as we've been seeing it, and it's not going to be business as usual. So I will entreat all teachers to make up their mind that they are now going to learn and learn and learn so that they will be able to deliver very well. Because hitherto, permit me to use this because I know it was just an assertion, which was not so true. Hitherto, we thought it was only the dumb and the daft who come to do art. Now we're going to face students from other areas, science, business, whatever, coming to do an aspect of art or all the arts and design courses. And so if you're a teacher and you don't learn, you're going to find yourself having knee-jerking or making knee-jerking conclusions in your class. But this is a new dawn. This is something that is going to be the game changer. And finally, I would like to say that the students we are teaching now are students who are going to take on the world me and you or the teachers on this platform don't even know. So the biggest question we ask ourselves is, how do we teach that student to become relevant in that world that is yet to come with all its technologies. And if we have those thinking, or if we think along those lines, and we decide that we're going to learn and be part of it, I think the sky will be our limit. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mante. Doc, we are very, 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 very grateful for your presence every day. In fact, since the inception of the webinar, you've always been present and you continue to even engage members on our various platforms. Doc, we are so grateful. We are so grateful. But then, as privately discussed, I would also indicate that I'm still waiting for response from your right-hand woman. And so, Prof, thank you so much for engaging us this evening. So grateful. Let's move to Mr. Kwame Opokubonsu. Sir, kindly give us your final words.
Yes. There's a new crop of students coming into our classroom. And this student is the one that the states and the schools are very particular about. As we said earlier on, if you take the science pathway, art and design is very important to their course. And they are going to guard it keenly. Keenly. What I would say is that every art student, every art teacher should be able to do two things and do them very well. First and foremost, the histories that comes with the art itself and the area of specialization, how they are going to handle it. There's supposed to be some team teaching when it comes to some of these things, especially when it comes to foundation, for instance. It will be very preposterous to think that one person will take on and do everything. The people that are going to be very sharp with drawing. There's nobody that's very sharp with drawing. We are all good at drawing, but some people are extra sharp with drawing. And they may be looking at the drawings. Some people are very sharp with the history. So we have to look at, that's why Dr. Mate keep on saying that the PLC session will help us to strategize and look at how best we can teach whatever it is coming. Headmasters are going to be very keen about their arts, their science students. And the students are also going to be, they are driven. I think we all know that students that take science are driven. You know what they want and where they want to go. And if you are not careful, they'll brush you aside. So as Dr. Mante said, we should prep ourselves for what is coming. And wow them. We are the professionals. We know what we are doing. We've been doing it for years. It's just some small additions that have come that we have to make certain expansion to it, like research a little bit and add it to whatever. And there's one thing. It's because that we don't want teachers to say that we don't have information in the areas that are coming, that we can top it up and use it to begin with, so that we can do whatever we are supposed to do very well. I think we are going to do wonderful, and we can't wait for that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Kwame Opokubosu. Sir, we are so grateful for your presence here all the time. We appreciate your presence and your contribution and discussion since the inception of this webinar. Sir, we are so grateful. We are very, very, very grateful for your presence. And so we'll take the final comments from our panelist, Professor Osueni Kwekwe. Prof, please, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you so much. For me, I dub my hat out to the panelists, Dr. Mante, Mr. Kwame Opoku-Bonsu, Professor Francis Eric Ishen, and all others who, perhaps due to their tight schedule, couldn't join us. Dr. Akwa, Professor De Graaf. In fact, it is through their participation and willing contribution to this more than 1 month long webinar, weekly webinar that we have enjoyed in terms of what is happening at the front of the new arts and design curriculum that has come. And to you, attendees, fellow Atag members, and other people who have joined, we are so excited. It is through your participation that made this webinar great. And for me, one thing that I take home, or that I expect that we take home, is that the 21st century teacher is the one who learns, unlearns, and relearn. So we should always be looking forward to new things, delving into new things, so that we can help our students. And let's also commit to joining professional bodies. Atag is here. Let's join. Let's contribute. Let's share ideas, because it is in sharing ideas that we learn more. It is not only what we learned in our classroom during our training, but when we listen to other people share their ideas, we learn from that. If you have questions regarding what is happening in the new curriculum, feel free. Send it to the PRO or to our national desk, and we will get it and prepare something and let you have it. Let me also add that we're going to do our Atag TV series, where we're going to have art talks, public lecture, so that together we go through the trajectory of making sure that this curriculum works to our benefit and to the benefit of Ghana and all. Thank you so much once again, all the panelists. May God bless you.
Thank you so much, Professor President Oseni Pukweso. We are so grateful for your presence here as well, and for this innovative idea of organizing webinar series for art teachers across the country. Trust me, we have teachers from the length and breadth of this country, some from Western region, Northern Ghana, Ashanti region, Eastern region, and Central region, and every part of the country joining in the section. We will have foreigners joining in the session. And I believe that we've addressed most of the questions that were frequently asked in the previous webinar series, and then questions that came for today. I think the only question that was left was the fact that parents going to be engaged. And I think this one was addressed by Professor Francis Erikishen, that the curriculum developers have had broader consultation with everyone that matters. And so going forward, I believe there will be sensitization on the part of parents to embrace this new curriculum. So we've come to the end of this session once again, and we appreciate the presence of all our national executives who took time off their busy schedule to join us. We also appreciate the presence of our members who have been here with us, and the numbers keeps on increasing. Even at 9:17, we still have members joining in the section, and this is encouraging. We appreciate your presence, and also we also want to say a big thank you. And then we want to say that we are appreciative of our panelists who join us every week, week in, week out for this webinar series. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me also indicate that if you need a certificate of participation for this workshop, kindly contact the National PRO. My humble self, you can contact me on the number that is provided, so that you send me your full name as you want it to appear on the certificate, and then you make the payment of 40 cedis, and then your certificate will be provided to you straight away. In a few minutes or 30 or in an hour, you should get your certificate. Kindly note that this is voluntary. This is a voluntary request that you can make, and then your certificate will be given to you as such. Thank you so much for being here with us. We'll meet the same time next week for the other engagement that Atag National is preparing for its members. Thank you so much for engaging with us. We appreciate your presence. Thank you so much.